Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Kira, and today I want to talk about relationships, number one, because there are certain things that you only learn by being in a relationship, and I have a very small repertoire of wisdom that I've gained thus far, but I want to share with you guys because, as you guys know, I did a singleness series, and then I started studying relationships, and then I got in one 2 months ago, and it is way different than I would have expected, but in the best of ways. Don't get me wrong, it's absolutely incredible. But there are some things you learn by experience, and I'd had no experience prior to this. So I want to share with you some things that I've written down that I honestly don't even remember writing down, but I wanted to share this in hopes that you guys can learn and that this wisdom can help your relationships. Sorry, I'm like dying. But in hopes that these would help your relationships. Maybe it's not even a dating relationship right now, but it's friendships. It's relationship with your family. And so I wanted to share these things. And if there's only one thing you take away from this video, please, frame this, do something with this. I promise this will change your life. The more time you spend with God, the better your relationship will be. And I don't say this lightly. I honestly take this to heart. I read it again today, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. Seriously, the more time you spend with God, the better your relationship will be. Because if you get the horizontal right, your relationship with God, the horizontal relationships with other people, it automatically is better because of it. And here's why. Because if we can get this right with God, get our heart in right standing with Him, God offers us life and life in abundance. John 10:10 says, I've come to give you life and life in abundance. And that includes in your relationships and in your community. He wants to see you thrive. He wants to see the very best for you. And when we spend time with God, we become more like Him. And so the more that we become like God, and that doesn't mean we become God, but become more like Him, more godly, that automatically is positively impacting our relationships. And seriously, please, if there's one thing you pull away from this video, do this, and I promise your life will be better from it. I sincerely make that promise, and I don't make a lot of promises, but there's one. Following behind that, in relationship, be patient. Don't push your agenda. I think it's very easy coming into relationship to see how you want things to go, but also realize that in relationship, you're not the only person anymore. In singleness, I highlighted this, that when you're single, you can kind of do whatever. You get to pick the restaurant you go to. You get to decide how to spend your day. And then when you hop into relationship, guess what? You're inviting another human being along on the journey with you, but then that means it's not all about you anymore, it's about them. And because you love them, you're going to sacrifice for them. And so you can have your agenda, but that's not for you to push. And when you get into a relationship with someone, you have to figure out, what are you trying to accomplish together? And what does that look like? And be prayerful on that. And let God lead, sincerely. Just come together and pray and say, God, what do you have for us together? And just really listen in. And it's amazing because if you're doing life with someone else who's following God, you get to push each other closer to God. And you also get to see how God talks to them, how God leads them. Because it's so easy to get caught up in your own way of doing things that when I started dating my boyfriend, I got to see how God works in his life and how he hears from God. And that's different from how I normally hear from God, but it's a good thing and it's opened my eyes so much more. And so, please, let God lead. Don't push your own agenda. You can have your own opinion and you can voice that, but in a loving way. And piggybacking off of that, have open lines of communication, both with God, so what God has for you, for your relationship, whatever He wants to do in your life, but also with this other person. I think one thing that got brought up that I'm still working on this, but that if there's something wrong, I have to speak it. because there's no way that my boyfriend can do anything about it if he doesn't know about it, and that's on me for keeping it bottled up inside. And that doesn't help anything whatsoever. So be open, be transparent, don't have unset expectations. If you expect something, first of all, figure out, is this really something that I should be expecting, or is this just in my head? And secondly, if you would love them to text you in the morning, speak that. Don't get mad when they don't. How on earth are they supposed to know? My brain, my heart, they're different from my boyfriend's, and it kind of also goes off of love languages. Like, what is your love language? What is your significant other's love language? And how do those play a part in your relationship? Because you can love the way that you're more naturally inclined to receive love. So there's 5 love languages. Highly recommend reading the book by Gary Chapman and realizing, how do you best receive love, and then how does your significant other best receive love. And I think, like, number 1 is let God lead in relationship. And I already touched on this, but sincerely, like, let God lead your relationship. And that is so vital, because if you're truly trying to seek God first, then you want to see him if you're sincerely trying to seek God first in everything, then you want to see him first in your relationship. And how can you have him first in your relationship if you let him lead? If you say, God, I give you my relationship, I give you this other person that I'm doing life with, and I just want you to have your way. And what does that mean? What is the next step? What do you have? And I think off of that, pulling in community, pulling in mentors to your relationship to help you along the way, because whatever stage of life you're in, it's amazing. There's always people further along on the journey. And it's sincerely a blessing if you get to have people to counsel you, to mentor you, because I know for myself and my boyfriend, we're young, we're in our 20s, and we have the great honor and privilege of having mentors who have been married for way longer, and it's just such a blessing because they can give us counsel, they can give us wisdom off of things that we would have no idea to even bring up, and it has been sincerely the biggest blessing to our relationship, and shows us what's important, what our focus should be on, and they really challenge us. So get mentors. It's so good for you, and not just in dating. Get mentors if you're single, if you're dating, if you're married, whatever stage of life you're in, because I've had the same mentor since I was 13 years old, and she's still a big part of my life. And seeing how far I've grown since I've known her, and that doesn't mean she's the sole contributor to that, but I would say she's definitely had a huge impact on my life, and I'm eternally grateful for that. But people who are further along on the journey and don't get caught up in the emotions with you, but rather can give you guidance and wisdom based off of the situation at hand, and also see the greater picture and what's best for you, even when you can't always see that for yourself, and God's best for you. Also in relationship, I would say pray, repeat, pray, sincerely. And you're probably like, Kira, these all have to do with God. Yes, because everything you are doing should be for God, and that includes your relationship. And please do not exclude your relationship from God and what he wants, because if you let him in every area of your life minus your dating life, there should be serious concern, because God wants your whole life, not just parts of it. And dating, think about it, you're either going to break up or you're going to get married. And if you get married, guess what? You're joining your life with that other person for the rest of your life. That's a huge commitment. Besides following Jesus, that's probably one of the biggest you can ever make in your entire life. So God should be a part of that from day one, since before that. So please, pray about every step. Pray. I did this. I would pray when I hung out with my boyfriend before we even started dating, but I knew I had feelings for him. And I prayed that God would have his way, and not my way. And it's like, God, if this is only something I want, don't let anything happen. If this is going to honor you and glorify you and this is what you want, let something happen. I prayed that. I had my mentor pray that. I had my mom pray that. I had my good friends pray that. And sincerely, have God at the center. If you have God at the center of your life, God's also at the center of your dating relationship. Next. Put God first and foremost. And yes, this is sounding a bit repetitive, but sincerely, put God first and foremost. Not only in your life, but in your dating relationship. And make that clear to whoever you're dating. Like, before you start dating, like, your intentions. That's super important. Before you start dating, what are their intentions in dating? What do they look to gain from this relationship? You know, where do you see it going? Doesn't mean you have to have a super definitive answer right now, but a general direction. And God should be at the center of that, sincerely. You want to see God at the center of it? Say that. Speak it. Because you want to make it clear so they know what they're getting into. And if you're talking to someone and they're just like, sounds really spiritual, or not, like, they're not as interested, no, don't do it. You have so much purpose. You have so much calling on your life, whoever you are. God has chosen you. And you can't sacrifice that for someone else. And God will never make you sacrifice your calling, your purpose, your identity in Christ for another human being. So it's not the right relationship if it is. And last thing I'm going to say today is have an accountability partner. Have someone who comes along on the journey, because feelings are real. And have someone who will hold you accountable. I have someone, I come back from a date, I come out from spending time with my boyfriend, I tell her everything. And you're like, that, you might be thinking, oh, I really don't want to share everything with someone. Well, it holds you accountable, because I know I'm going home and I'm going to share it with her. And it's also, and it's not so that she can condemn me, but it's so she can say, hey, was God at the center of everything? And how can you be more like Christ? And she's trying to keep me focused on that. And it goes back to seeking God first in relationship. And having an accountability partner helps foster that and grows that in you. So I pray that this video helps. If you have questions, comments, concerns, whatever, please put them down below. Ask away. Sincerely, I'm here for you guys. I want to see you thrive in relationship. It is the biggest blessing if it is done right, like, sincerely. Yeah, it's just so good, and I want that for you guys too, and more, because I love you guys, and God has so much in store for you, and He loves you so much, and in God's timing, it is absolutely amazing and in God's way. So pray this helps someone out there, and hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I love y'all so much. Bye.